It's a kind of a family. Wherever I roam, up and way home, that's where I long to be. I'm a member of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of insanity. Yeah, I live and die with Red Sox pride for eternity. I make a smile November until opening day. Suffering baseball withdrawal around the clock. When April comes, hey, meet me down on Yankee Way. That's when Red Sox Nation starts to rock.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 52 of the Avid Boston Podcast, presented by AVIDBOSTON.com. For everyone staying up late with us on Periscope, the show, as always, will be uploaded to SoundCloud within 30 minutes of the conclusion of this broadcast and should be available on iTunes by your AM commute. And you can also click the link at the top of this Periscope box. That will take you directly to the Avid Boston podcast section of the actual blog, and you could find both formats on there as well. Red Sox wrapped up a 3-game set tonight against the Detroit Tigers. Lost the game, still took 2 out of 3, so not much to complain about there. It's been a pretty, successful last couple weeks or so, and that includes the split we had with Houston. I think we'll take that every time as well. So to get into it with us, my co-host each episode, Dave Kwiatkowski. How are you?
Hey, how you doing,
Not too bad. So why don't you take it away?
Yeah, sure. So, Red Sox took 2 out of 3, like Terry was saying. Really strong performance from us. Again, coming off the split with Houston. We had Erod doing his typical Erod start. It's just under a quality start for all of you not keeping track at home. But 5 2/3, 1 run, continues to be one of our best pitchers. Benintendi continues to be our best hitter right now, along with JD Martinez, as he continues to mash in that game. We take game 1 7-1. Game 2, we had Game 2 was Stephen Wright. Forgot about that. Stephen Wright was out on the mound, and he pitched amazing. Came in, pitched a gem, 7 innings, no runs. He got a little trouble in the first inning. Did something Drew Pomeranz can't do and pitch out of it. Crushed it, did extremely well. 3 hits on all game. Bullpen came out, shut it down, shut out 6-0. And tonight we had a abysmal start from our future, hopefully, in the rotation guy, Jalen Beeks. He gave up 5 runs in 2 innings, in the first 2 innings, and never recovered from that as we went down and lost 7-2.
Still, we'll still take 2 out of 3, and you never know how those rookies are going to debut. You could get, Clay Buchholz, on one extreme end with a no-hitter, and then you could get Alan Webster on the other end and not get out of the second inning.
You get a few different guys. Also, it was game 1 was Wright. Sorry, messed that one up.
That's all right. We won it nonetheless. So
we get the scores. We got the scores right and everything else right.
Yeah, absolutely. Also joining us, as he often does, you can find him on the Northeast Sports Network doing play-by-play. He also does media relations and play-by-play as well for the Bristol Blues, who are a part of the FCBO. You can find him on Twitter at @smoke_Saunders. Chris Saunders, how are you?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Chris.
Not too bad. Glad you can join us again. We'll cover some Sox and also get some Yankees in on the second half of the podcast while you're here. But getting back into the series, very 2016-like from Stephen Wright on Monday night or Tuesday night. We're all screwed up this week.
Seriously.
But so is he? He pretty much made a solid case for, to stay in the rotation, at least for the time being.
Oh, he's got it. With Pomeranz being as bad as he is, and I mean, Beeks might have just been up for a cup of coffee. He might be back down, and he wasn't great tonight. I mean, Wright looked great in the bullpen so far. I don't think he's allowed to earn run yet. And then he comes out and he pitches so well in his debut, going 7 strong, pitching out of jams. I mean, that's exactly what you want from the guy.
Yeah, and I was happy to see it. And it's nice when you have someone who can come in and pitch that effectively. And he has a decent track record of it from 2016 forward, especially when he's healthy. The one thing that makes me nervous, I touched on it a little bit in the last episode, is, and you kind of did as well, where he hadn't given up an earned run yet. I just think the bullpen was super stable with him in there, especially with his ability to go 2 or 3 innings. So you don't have to use Matt Barnes or Joe Kelly every day necessarily, and you can mix in Hembree. Things just seem to work a lot more efficiently when he's in there, and everybody pitched better as a result of it. And I hope that doesn't get lost. Like, I hope that's still a viable option in the future, because you could just as well put Velasquez in the rotation, and if you can get 5 innings out of him, then I would take that every time, and then that would be an ideal night for Wright to come in and pitch innings 6 or 7. So I think it's a good option as well. I think that the bullpen was really stable with him in there. I just think that it's better to have a starting pitcher able to go 6 or 7 like Wright can and has in the past, than have Velasquez go in and maybe go 5 or 4 and throw a lot of pitches, where he can be that middle relief type of guy. Because as long as you're getting that middle relief, and he was good at the beginning of the year, minus that Texas game that he came in relief, but he came in a mess with David Price in the beginning of the year. Velasquez has been really great, and if you could have Velasquez come in for 2 to 4 innings in long relief and keep him in that spot, and have Stephen Wright dominate in the 4 or 5 slot against some bad pitching matchups that benefit him, I think that's better suited for the team. And then if Pomeranz ever gets right and healthy, if we ever make a trade at the deadline or something, then Wright can definitely get transitioned back into the bullpen for a long relief or a short 2-inning relief role. Right. And at the very least, that's going to be a very attractive option in October should we get into a ALDS and need him in the bullpen. And Velasquez could be the guy that I was just describing, right? It's a little too early to know that for sure, but he has the potential to have a similar effect, as you were saying. Chris, from the outside looking in, how impressed have you been with Eduardo Rodriguez?
To be honest with you, I've always thought that Rodriguez had, the top of the rotation kind of stuff. The biggest thing for him was consistency and being able to not tip his pitches, because you got to remember, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, I can't recall exactly, but there was a 4 or 5 game stretch where every game he was tipping his pitches some way, somehow, either with the glove, his hand, his head, something. But this seems like the first year where he's really putting everything together, and he's had the ability to be able to throw his breaking ball for strikes. The knee doesn't seem to be bothering him, and he has his velocity back to where it can be. And the one start that really impressed me was against my Yankees at Yankee Stadium when he was starting for David Price. And if he continues the way he's going, it would not shock me. And the Red Sox should do it. He should be in that playoff rotation, and David Price should be in the bullpen.
I would love that.
I agree, because David Price was so great out of the bullpen last year.
Exactly.
Erod can go 5 innings, 5 1/3, which is what he normally does.
Yep.
And then have Price come out and pitch 2 innings, and then Kimbrel in the 9th, and you just get yourself a Game 3 win.
It's going to be hard to take Wright out of the equation. Price out of the equation if he's pitching the way that he is. I would do that 100 times out of 100, given his record in October, but I don't know how he would feel about that. And if nothing else, the way things are going now, I would definitely start Erod over Porcello if it came down to it. So I think he has to be one of your 3 starters anyway.
Well, here's the thing. If he doesn't like it, then he could just opt out after this year. And then you save yourself $150 million. Boom.
You know, I like the way you think.
I love that. I was just going to say exactly that. That's excellent. Yeah.
That'd be great. I wouldn't even mind if he opted out and we could restructure just a less of a term deal for David Price, honestly.
You'd want to keep him?
You
would want to keep him.
If we could get him for a couple of years, yeah. The problem with his deal is the length of it. You know what I mean? If it ended in 2 years, I'd be like, all right, it ends in 2 years. We can use it as he's not a number 1. We paid him as a number 1. I get that. But he's number 3. He can go in the bullpen and be kind of a mixed guy, like an Andrew Miller type in the playoffs maybe, a little bit of a hybrid guy. I wouldn't mind that. It's the fact that I'm stuck with him for like 7 years. That's my issue.
It's not even so much the fact that it's the money. It's the fact that he's as soft as a pillow.
Oh, he's soft.
Exactly. So why? I mean, not to sound rude, but if you want to keep him, why would you want to keep a guy who's soft? I'd rather have a guy like Kershaw. I mean, if you can get him for as much, if you're going to give Price as much money, like let's say, I think he's owed. How much money is he owed the remaining of his contract?
He's got $31 million a year, basically.
After this year, it's I think 124.
124. Yeah. Okay, I would rather take that and give that to Kershaw, even with his back problems, because at least I know he's going to give me – you could make fun of him for the way his hair looks, and he's not going to get pissed. He's just going to strike you out. David Price, you make fun of him for any little thing, and he writes about on Twitter and blasts people left and right. He can't survive in Boston.
I 100% agree. I'm not a big David Price guy as well, but he's proven last year in the playoffs he could be a force out of the bullpen. And
I agree.
If you can stash him and handle him the right way and baby him with the media and baby him with the team and putting him in certain spots, which you can in the bullpen, and you can if he's not your number 1, all of a sudden it looks pretty good. Now, obviously, if you're telling me, Price can opt out, you can get Kershaw, but he might get injured, or you can have Price for a couple years less, I'm taking Kershaw all day, get David Price out of my face. But if David Price wanted to say, listen, I'll restructure to help the team and maybe myself, I'll go back in free agency a couple of years, I'll be that number 2, number 3 guy, and, you need me in the bullpen in the playoffs, I'll be there. He was great in the bullpen in the playoffs last year. And if you combine him with an Erod and with a short, the Sale, if he goes 6 innings, just 6 innings, David Price in 7 and 8, I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Chris. I would just get rid of him at all costs. I think he's a distraction to the team, and we don't know what type of negative impact he could be having. And there was a little bit of talk last year that Benintendi was kind of following around like a puppy doll. And I kind of noticed that Benintendi has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, not to the point where I really care, but I noticed a difference kind of in his demeanor a little bit. And but it's translated well, performance wise. So, but it's just in the back of my mind. I like to tie that maybe to David Price, and they got rid of Hanley, which is kind of a mystery right now. Like, it was just so sudden, and I don't think everybody's like fully processed it. And then he hasn't even been picked up yet, and he could be had for the major league minimum, basically what the Red Sox are paying Devers right now, which is nothing. And,
because he stinks at hitting.
Well, he definitely did that last month, but you just figure somebody would have a need for him, and maybe they could catch fire with him, for a little while.
I'm sure at the deadline somebody will. Someone pick him up as it goes along.
Maybe, yeah. And I just, with Price, I don't know. I'd get rid of him if I could, and that's an interesting idea. Piss him off. Be like, look, dude, we don't trust you, so you're going in the pen. And
yeah, obviously I would like him gone, but I'm just spitballing. I think that we're stuck with him. I'm just trying to think of what maybe the best thing could be for him when it comes October-wise. You could maybe platoon him a little bit, move him around. Maybe that shelters him a little bit, protects him, and help the team like you did last year. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out.
Yeah, no, and that's excellent. Like, I would be completely on board with putting him in the bullpen, and I think that there's definitely a lot of value in that.